And now, my friends, it's story time. This story is the parable of the wild horses. So imagine for a moment that we are in ancient China on a beautiful farm. The stars of this story are a wise old farmer and his young son, who together run this farm, tending for their animals and harvesting their vegetables. And one day, this farmer and his son are out taking care of their horses, refilling their troughs with water. And their horses, their two beautiful steeds, run off and escape. The neighbor sees the commotion, runs over to help, but they're unable to corral their horses, who have now vanished into the countryside. And the neighbor turns to the old farmer and says, "I'm so sorry. This is just terrible. I'll be over this evening with dinner for your family." And the farmer responds to him, "Who's to say what's good or bad?" Well, the next morning, these two steeds return with 100 horses in tow, effectively making this farmer and his family the wealthiest people in their entire region. They now have 102 horses. And the neighbor runs over and says, "I can't believe your incredible fortune. It's amazing. They vanished and now they're back with 100 other horses. I'm so happy for your fortune." And the farmer says, "Who's to say what's good or bad?" And the neighbor returns home, only to revisit that afternoon. The farmer's young, strong, able-bodied son gets thrown from a bucking horse as he tries to train it. And the son has broken his leg. The neighbor returns and says, "I can't believe it. I'm so surprised. This is terrible." And the wise old farmer responds, "Who's to say what's good or bad?" A couple days later, one of the Chinese generals is moving through town looking for strong young men to fight in the battle. And across the countryside is a sweeping rumor that this is a battle we surely will not win. It's basically a death sentence to anyone that shows up. And the general sees this young man, thinking that he's perfect to serve the military, except that his leg is broken. "I cannot use you," he says. And the general leaves town. And the neighbor runs over and says, "Your son was able to be eliminated from the draft. He's going to be one of the only young men from our region that survives this battle that's coming." And the wise old farmer says, "Who's to say what's good or bad?" Now, these are pretty extreme examples, but there is a strong power in not blanket labeling things and allowing things to be as they are. There's a power of mindfully observing our reactions. So as we go through body-based practices, my encouragement to you is practice sitting in awareness and allowing yourself, allowing your participants, your clients, or your patients the opportunity to be present with what comes up. The key component of mindfulness is to simply have the experience without judging it. To clarify, we may feel badly. We will feel badly. We might choose not to perpetuate that painful experience, nor would we wish it on anyone else. But we can have these experiences of feeling badly without labeling the whole experience as bad. My personal tool with mitigating judgment is to remain curious. This might be helpful for you or the people that you serve. Observation in this way serves as a tool for helping us build emotional capacity to fully release a trauma. We can and we will often integrate our trauma in chunks. We also know that what we resist persists. Similar to that bubble boy analogy of having that plastic bubble around us, as we are able to feel our emotions, we are able to dislodge them from our bodies, but also from our psyches. Again, as if we were trying to see through a pea soup fog of shame or anger or hatred or any of the breadth of valid emotions that come up as a result from trauma. If we can feel them, we can integrate them and start to release them from our energy field.